There's always that moment. Everyone around you is screaming at the TV, arguing over players, memorizing stats, treating a game like it's life or death. And you just don't feel it. You try to care. You really do. But deep down, a part of you wonders, why does this matter so much to everyone else, but not to me? And after a while, you stop saying it out loud. Because people look at you like something is wrong with you. Like you're missing some basic human instinct. But maybe you're not disconnected. Maybe your mind is just searching for meaning in different places. Because the truth is, people who don't obsess over sports usually see the world a little differently. And most of them don't even realize it. Imagine this. You're sitting with friends at a party. The room suddenly explodes because someone scored. Everyone jumps up, yelling, celebrating, high-fiving like they personally won something. But you're sitting there quietly, not judging, not hating it, just observing. And in your head you're thinking, how are people this emotionally attached to strangers they've never met? That thought alone makes some people feel guilty. Because society teaches us that sports are more than entertainment. They're identity, belonging, tradition. So if you don't connect with it, you start feeling like an outsider. But here's the part nobody talks about. A lot of people who don't obsess over sports tend to process emotions internally instead of collectively. Sports are emotional synchronization. Millions of people feeling the same thing, at the same time. The excitement, the anger, the victory, the heartbreak. For many people, that shared emotion feels powerful. But some minds naturally resist emotional herd behavior. Not because they're cold. Not because they think they're smarter. Their brains are just wired toward different kinds of stimulation. They crave depth over group excitement. That's why some people feel more emotionally invested in music, stories, psychology, art, ideas, or quiet one-on-one conversations than a scoreboard. And honestly, a lot of them spend years pretending to care about sports just to fit in. Pause for a second and think about that. How many times have you nodded along in conversations, just so nobody would call you boring? How many times did you fake excitement because silence felt socially dangerous? That's exhausting. Especially for emotionally aware people. Because they notice something others don't. They notice how quickly group identity can consume individuality. One team wins, people feel superior. One team loses, people become angry for hours. And for certain personalities, that emotional attachment feels strange. Not bad. Just strange. Because their minds naturally ask, why am I emotionally investing in something I can't control? And that question changes everything. See, people who don't obsess over sports are often more mentally occupied with internal worlds. Overthinking, self-reflection, future worries, big existential questions. Their emotional energy already goes somewhere else. That's why many of them prefer things that feel personally meaningful instead of collectively exciting. And there's another layer to this. A surprisingly large number of non-sports people grew up feeling emotionally disconnected from group environments. Maybe they were the quiet kid. Maybe they felt different. Maybe they never experienced that tribe mentality everyone else seemed to understand naturally. So instead of bonding through teams, they bonded through thoughts, through music, through internet rabbit holes, through deep late-night conversations, through trying to understand people. That became their version of connection. And here's something interesting. Some people don't love sports because competition itself drains them emotionally. Not everyone enjoys turning everything into winning and losing. Some people are more sensitive to tension, conflict, aggression, noise. They prefer experiences that feel reflective instead of adrenaline-driven. And in a world obsessed with competition, that can make someone feel unbelievably alone. Especially men. Because men are often taught that sports equal masculinity. So if you don't care about them, people assume you're antisocial, awkward, or less normal. But being different isn't dysfunction. Sometimes it just means your brain searches for fulfillment differently. And ironically, many people who don't obsess over sports are deeply emotional people. They just don't externalize emotion in loud ways. They internalize it. Quietly. Deeply. That's why they can spend hours thinking about a single conversation, but feel nothing watching a championship game. Now here's the twist. A lot of non-sports people secretly think they're missing out on some universal human experience. But sports were never the real point. Connection was. Meaning was. Belonging was. And humans find those things in different places. Some find it in stadiums. Others find it in books. In art. In philosophy. In building something. In understanding themselves. Different path. Same human need. So if you've ever felt weird because you don't obsess over sports like everyone else, there may be nothing wrong with you at all. You might just be someone whose mind was built for observation instead of immersion, for reflection instead of reaction. And maybe that's why you've always felt slightly outside the crowd. Not because you're disconnected from humanity, but because you experience it in a quieter way.